Your latest Manchester United news and transfer news this Wednesday, the 22nd of July. It's hammer time. It's MC hammer time. It is hammer time. It's time for Manchester United to go out tonight and hammer the hammers of West Ham. But that will take care of itself. We've got lots to talk about this morning. There is a lot going on around Manchester United. What a fantastic interview it was with Christian Falk of Sport Bild last night. Really enjoyed it. I've watched it twice myself. If you've not watched it, it's on the homepage. The German transfer guru, right up there with Romano over the last 6 months, and lots of insights into what's going on around German football, Jadon Sancho. But we're going to start off with something a little bit different because you can watch that video on the homepage, of course. We're going to talk about Simon Stone, who was on Premier League Productions yesterday, and he spoke about the Jadon Sancho situation and the Manchester United situation. And you might not have noticed this because our interview was very, very good, but he did come out with a minute or so talking about United's transfer summer ahead and said that Jadon Sancho is the priority. That's the player that they feel that they can get hold of. That there's nothing new around that. I think we all know that, and I think we all now know what we've known for 3 months, really, that Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United, that United want Jadon Sancho, and that it's really about the price negotiations now, which as actually Bild are talking about this morning, which is obviously who Christian Falk is working for, that Manchester United will advance these talks for Sancho as soon as they know they've got Champions League football. So early next week, possibly, maybe as late as August if we do mess up this Champions League. So very important that we get Champions League football so that we can start advancing, because one thing that you may have missed in the interview with Christian Falk was, and there were some really good bits in there, what he did say is that Dortmund definitely do want this resolved by August the 10th, because that is when they go back for their main pre-season training, and they will want Sancho either committed or gone by that point. So August the 10th, Christian Falk himself said, is a very important date with regards to Jadon Sancho to Manchester United. So definitely keep an eye on that. But what Simon Stone said beyond Sancho, and look, he said definitely that the United are in for that player, is that they're looking at 2 or 3 signings this summer. He mentioned the centre-back. He didn't mention any other position, but he definitely said 2 or 3 signings this summer, which I think, and welcome to Credi Fruga, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I think with nice twist on Freddy Krueger. See, I got it. But I think what's interesting about Simon Stone saying 2 or 3 transfers for Manchester United this summer is that Simon Stone is, I would say, around Manchester United is definitely a very good source. Much the same as somebody like a Simon Peach or a James Cooper. They've got close relationships with the club, and they don't need to be like a Fabrizio Romano or a Christian Falk, who basically they're transfer experts, those journalists. These journalists like Simon Stone, Simon Peach, they will talk about transfers, but they'll only do it if they know that they're being accurate. They're more about what's going... They're Manchester United correspondents at the end of the day. Their job is to have good relationships with the club, good relationships with the players, and to be credible relationships. So they would be talking about Pogba being out for a month or something like that, as well as a new contract, as well as things that are going on around the club. And transfers are part of that, but they won't risk their reputation speculating on things and getting them wrong. So when Simon Stone is saying 2 or 3 transfers for Manchester United this summer, I would be pretty confident now that we will make 2, and hopefully 3, but 2. I would start to be feeling quite confident about that. Whether that's going to be Sancho and Grealish, or Sancho and a centre back, or Sancho, Grealish and a centre back, or Sancho, Grealish, Van der Beek, who knows? But it sounds encouraging, because I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware, like you are, that we need to, we need things. We're not good enough. We're not good enough to go to the next level with the squad that we've got. I think this is going to be the lowest ever points total for top 4. You can only play the season in front of you. You know, we're not lucky if we get top 4. We deserve it within this season, because the Chelsea's, Leicesters have not been good enough. So we definitely do deserve it. But I think if you want to go to that next level, it's a lot of points to Chelsea, to Manchester City, and certainly Liverpool. And to do that, we are going to need a more consistent squad. Welcome to PRobHob20, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And really hope we get Grealish, one window, such a good player. So Simon Stone, credible journalist, saying that Manchester United looking at 2 or 3 transfers this summer. And Sancho is obviously, we're not going to change about that. Sancho is the player. Also, what you may have not picked up from the Christian Falk interview yesterday was when I asked him later in the interview about whether anybody else is in the race for Jadon Sancho, and it was a big fat no. So this thought that Sancho could go to Chelsea. They look like they're going to get Havertz with Werner and Ziyech. He spoke about the relationship between Pep and Sancho not being that good, and that preventing maybe a move to Bayern Munich. So look, it's Manchester United or he stays at Dortmund, which again is another positive. I know people are starting to get a little bit impatient about the Sancho story, but for me, and we might have a longer mountain to climb once United start negotiating, because they can take a very long time to do it. But we have progressed from the story we had in April with Fabrizio Romano about United being in love with Sancho and Sancho wanting to come to Manchester United, but there was still talk of other clubs being involved. We're at a point now where I think it's just about the price. You know, he wants United, we want him, no other club's in for him. It is about the price tag, as Jesse J once sang. What do you think of Jack's interview after the game last night, says Imtiaz Kazim. I haven't seen it, mate. And now that Villa appears safe, do you think Grealish will stay there, says Josh Sutton. Well, Aston Villa are far from safe. I'm happy to talk about Grealish for a moment. Aston Villa are far from safe. They're out of the bottom three, but they're out of the bottom three on goal difference. Watford have got Arsenal. Aston Villa are West Ham. And Bournemouth go to Everton. So if Bournemouth beat Everton and Villa and Villa and Watford lose, Bournemouth could stay up. Villa really to stay up are going to have to beat West Ham. I still think Villa at the moment are probably favourites to stay up because they're not in the bottom three, but they're certainly not safe. But look, on Grealish, I like Grealish. I think he probably opened up a few players' eyes yesterday, a few fans' eyes yesterday, and I do like Jack Grealish. But I also think that as much as I like Jack Grealish, it's not... Well, the window isn't open yet, Michael Jones, you're right. I do like Jack Grealish, but I also think that he's a bench player for Manchester United. He doesn't come into the starting lineup straight away. He gives us quality off the bench. He's a squad player that we need, so that if you need to take Bruno off, you can bring Grealish on and he's going to do something, whereas Pereira, Lingard, Mata don't really offer very much. So I would very much welcome Jack Grealish at Manchester United, but if Aston Villa stay up, are they going to want 50, 60, 70 million for him? They may well want that, and that for me is where you go, I really do like Grealish, but let's not pretend he's Jadon Sancho. Let's not pretend he's Kevin De Bruyne. Let's not pretend he's Kai Havertz. He's a very good midfielder in the Premier League, but I know of another midfielder who's not in the Premier League, who is definitely wanting to leave his club, who we will get for about £40 million. Maybe, and that person is Donny van de Beek. So, as much as I like Grealish, if Villa stay up, does that not push us more towards Van de Beek for financial reasons? And, you can't be hypocritical about this. I do rate Jack Grealish, but I do rate James Maddison. And the reason I was like, we shouldn't go for Maddison is because Leicester are going to want 80, 90 million for him. So you're always going to go for Grealish at 50, 60 million. But now, if Villa are going to hold out for 60 million, you might go down again to Van de Beek at 40 and say, actually, I think the difference between Van de Beek, Grealish and Maddison is minimal. So I'm going to go with the most economic option, which is Donny van de Beek. And that's maybe what Manchester United might look at. I don't think we're in for Van de Beek. I think Grealish is the player that Ollie wants. And I think United will try and do a deal with Villa for Grealish. But we have walked away from deals because of value before. And the value in the market deal, if Villa stay up and want silly money, is that United probably should go for Van de Beek. Having said that, Villa might show a little bit of loyalty to Grealish, the fact that he's kept them up, I don't know. Greetings, Mark. Have you had a chance to watch Ollie's interview on the High Performance podcast? It is worth a watch. Oh man, the amount of people who've told me to watch it. I've seen it. Like, what do you want me to say? It's a very good interview. I can't say anything more than that. Santino says Arteta is a great tactician. I mean, 69% possession and no shots on target. What a manager. Look, I don't want to talk about Arsenal because we get accused of talking about Arsenal too much, and the reality is we're not playing them in the FA Cup final, and they're not a rival for top four. So we really don't need to talk about Arsenal. They are where they are, 10th. They're in an FA Cup final. Well, Wigan did that. So, let them crack on with what they're doing. Villa totally deserved to beat them last night. I did watch it, and fair play to Villa. Imtez Kazim says, do you think we could do a swap deal plus cash for Jack? Maybe Mata or Lingard? I mean, swap deals are interesting. Would Lingard want to go to Villa? I think that Lingard would fancy a little bit more than Aston Villa, if I'm honest with you. But, swap deals may well have a part to play. I agree on that one. Also, the what I wanted to talk about as well was that obviously we've got this game against West Ham tonight. I heard what David Moyes said. I know I didn't really get a chance to talk about it yesterday with you. So David Moyes has said that the difference between him and Ollie is that he's been given more time. I mean, look, I don't know that there are any Manchester United Moyes sympathisers. I did see a couple of people yesterday saying, well, yeah, actually he's right. He does deserve more time. I don't understand what angle David Moyes deserves more time. I've said this before. I felt he got 9 months too long. He never should have got the job. And Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager there's ever been, but he got it wrong with Moyes. He got it wrong with Jemba. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson 99% of the time was elite, but he's human. He got things wrong. David Moyes was wrong. It was a wrong appointment. He came in, he tore up the backroom staff arrogantly. He's not a top six manager. I know he got Everton into the top six, but he's not a top six manager. He's a run-of-the-mill, mid-table manager at best. That's what he is. He never should have got the United job. He really shouldn't. It's like putting Cameron Jerome up front for Real Madrid. Good Championship stroke mid-table Premier League striker, but not that level. Nowhere near. The first thing he did was spy Fellaini. The first thing Ollie did was sell Fellaini. For me, that just shows you the difference in quality. And how did David Moyes deserve more time? You started badly and it continued. You were awful, mate. It wasn't that long ago. I tried to rewrite history and I tried to forget it, but you did not deserve more time. What planet are you comparing yourself to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in and we were unbeaten for 3 months. That's why Ollie's been given time, because when he first got the job as an interim, he showed a synergy with the club and an understanding of what the club's all about. He lost it for 8 months, but since Bruno's been back, we've seen it again. So, look, there's no doubting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably got a little bit more time than most managers, but that's because Moyes and Van Gaal and Mourinho probably, the club probably gave him a little bit more time than them because they were desperate for it to work, but he'd certainly shown something. David Moyes, I can't. You know what? I actually cannot believe he was manager of Manchester United. It defies logic. I can't believe it. I remember when we appointed him and Sir Alex Ferguson retired, and that was bad enough. But when we gave it to Moyes, I just remember. It's a shame United Stand wasn't up and running then, because the messages I was sending to my mate was just like, this is the worst thing we're ever going to do. And it set us back. Basically, we had, if Manchester United was a pristine dynasty made of he just came in with a sledgehammer and smashed it all up. And we've been rebuilding ever since. CB says, if we do get Sancho, we need to focus on players who can supply under pressure. Fred overusing the wings with Dan James getting pushed around. And Steve Swift says, Mark, think it's worth Eric Bailly plus 50 million cash to secure Sancho. They have lost Hakimi and surely Eric is a plus to United. I don't think Eric Bailly fits in with what Dortmund are all about, to be honest. I think Dortmund like to buy players young that they can sell on. Although they have bought Witsel, you're right. But Eric Bailly's not a right back either. I mean, Hakimi's a right wing back. So I don't think that works in that sense. Look, never say never. I wouldn't have thought that could happen. If they want centre-backs, they can have Phil Jones as well. We'll do a 2-for-1 deal. But just going on to that, what was quite interesting as well, and the Legend Killer says, Moyes has lost it. I think one of the reasons he was sacked was because he always said the players were excellent despite getting beat 3 or 4-0 at times. He's just out of his depth. Absolutely out of his depth. But what I wanted to talk about was this theory that Manchester United may have let Dortmund get Bellingham so that they'll let him have Sancho. Look, I do think we'll get Sancho, and I think some people will start saying, well, that was what happened. But when that was put to Christian Falk yesterday, what did he say? He said there's no deals in business. That was a business deal that Dortmund won. And I think that is what happened with Jude Bellingham. He chose Dortmund over Manchester United, and we, thinking that we've let them have Bellingham so we can have Sancho is ridiculous, because unfortunately we are going into that time, aren't we now, where you're going to see on social media these accounts that you've never seen before, where they start saying, they'll tweet a few good things and then they'll start saying, look, we don't like to tweet a load of rubbish, but we have got a source in the club and he's telling us that the deal has been done between Sancho, it's all agreed, but when he comes back from holiday he'll be announced before August the 10th. The only thing that's true about that is because they've heard it from somewhere else, is that August the 10th is probably going to be a very key cut-off point. But You can listen to Romano, David Ornstein, Christian Falk, Simon Stone, Raphael Honigstein, whoever. People around German football or people who are very credible around Manchester United. And those people will tell you that Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund have not agreed a deal yet. And these people who put this nonsense out there to basically infect the minds of Manchester United fans on social media, who get excited about somebody who is tweeting something, who you don't know who's behind who's telling you they've got an in the know, and you don't know who's behind the account. Man United ITK or whatever. That could be an Arsenal fan from Australia taking the piss and has got United fans on strings. I think when you are looking to get transfer news, I would implore people to go with something that you can trust. Some people might not trust what I say, but look, at least I'm sat here every day for the last 5 years doing the United Stand. Christian Falk, Fabrizio Romano, it's their job, it's their reputation, Simon Stone, the people I've mentioned. So what are you going to believe? An account on Twitter that's telling you you've got an in the know, who could be, as I said, could be Jack Dobbs, the Arsenal fan from Australia, taking a piss out of United fans? Or are you going to believe people who've built a career up around this sort of thing? And the most common sense approach from all this is that Sancho wants to come to United, Manchester United wants Sancho, Dortmund will sell at a reasonable fee, but the fee has not been agreed because Dortmund want 100 million and United don't want to pay that. But negotiations will happen, but negotiations can't happen until United have got Champions League football. Not because Jadon Sancho is going to say, I want Champions League football. He might say that, but because United don't have the money to pay for anything until they know they've got Champions League football, because they're going to lose money from Adidas and other sponsors if they're in the Europa League for the second year in a row, because that's part of the contract with those sponsors. And also they're going to gain 50 to 100 million pounds just by qualifying for the Champions League instead of the Europa League. So United cannot sit down and negotiate yet because they don't know what their transfer pot is. So anybody telling you for anything different, they are guessing at best. They are winding you up at worst. If we don't get Sancho, I won't accept anyone else, says Luke Purdy. Well, you might have to, Luke. You might have to. You need to watch more football. It pisses me off whenever you choose to ignore dark horse clubs on the rise, such as Getafe, and just choosing main clubs, says Jonathan. I don't need to watch Getafe, Jonathan. I watch enough football, and I don't know what you're on about, dark horses on the rise. We're Manchester United. We play in the Premier League. We watch Manchester United games. I watch a bit of Serie A. I watch a little bit of La Liga. That does me. And then if there are players that either get mentioned in the comments or not, I might go and take in a few of their games. But I definitely don't need to start watching Getafe. Mark, it's my 30th birthday. My girlfriend can't stand me wandering around the house with your show on all day. So please make my day and say hi, Jess. That's from Hades the Man. Hi Jess, let him walk around the house listening to the United Stand. You might learn something. And Chiesa might be a good option, says Barrack. Rami, no. We won't, I think, I said this a few weeks ago about Jadon Sancho, and I'm sure most people would agree with this, that with Manchester United, we know we want Sancho. We know Sancho wants to come to United. And I'll guarantee you now, this deal has to be done. Because so many people expect it to be done. All the credible journalists expect it to be done. All of us expect it to be done. I think Jadon Sancho expects it to be done. If United walk away from this deal, they're walking away because of money. Now, Bellingham, people have let that go. They've let it go. Even though we showed him round Carrington, they've let that go. Haaland, they've let it go. Even though what a great striker he is, they've let it go. We wanted Haaland, we wanted Bellingham, we didn't get them. Sancho's a different kettle of fish. Sancho is a symbolic, iconic signing who could be at the club for however long, wearing our number 7 and be one of the best players in the world. He wants to come to United. United want him. We cannot be going, oh, well, we didn't get Sancho, let's go and get Chiesa, or let's go and get Zaha, or let's go and get whoever else. We got to get Jadon Sancho. It's symbolic. It's not just a player, it's symbolic. And look, he might not succeed at United straight away. He might never succeed at United. You can never guarantee that. But the signing would be right, and we've got to do it. Because if we come out of this summer and we haven't done it, then everybody's going to know that United decided not to spend the money. And that's going to be a very hard pill to swallow if it's about money. Because we know that this is the player that United want. Luke Purdy says, with Chelsea making 3 marquee signings, I think Sancho is a must, with Chelsea being our closest rivals at the moment. Well, look, I don't see I don't see Liverpool or Man City dropping off next season, and they're still massively ahead of us. And as you've said, look, Chelsea just wiped the floor with us on Sunday. Like, I think we can play better than that. But Chelsea wiped the floor with us tactically and played better. They were the better team. Regardless of the errors, they were the better team. They're going to add in Ziyech, one of the best players in Europe. They're going to add in Werner, one of the best strikers in Europe. And they're going to add in Havertz, one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe. Like, they are, well, look, when I say best, you know what I mean, up and coming or whatever. They've got potential to be that. That's three amazing signings. And Chelsea beat us on Sunday, and at the moment they're ahead of us in the league. So you've got to take Chelsea into account, because otherwise, if we don't, next season we're going to be, fourth is going to be our ceiling. And we might finish fourth comfortably, or we might get dragged into a battle for fourth. But I don't see us getting first, second or third if Chelsea improve like they're going to look like they are, and Liverpool and Man City are in first and second. We need, and this is where I think the 2 or 3 signings is coming from, and one of those signings I think urgently does need to be a centre-back. The centre-back situation at United is worrying. I think it's a worry tonight. Welcome to Jonathan Kay, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I mean, look, Mikel Antonio is fast, he's strong. I said it in the preview. He's a problem tonight on the break for United, and we've got to be up for it. But look, as I said, I said it, was it yesterday, that Manchester United, we've got to get behind the club. I'm very excited about the watch-along later. You can join me live at about 5 o'clock for that. Team news will be out at 5 o'clock. Kick off at 6 o'clock tonight. We've got to get the win. We've got to get the win, and we've got to get behind the team. I hope Luke Shaw's going to play. I think he's very, very important in this game, and I hope he is going to play. But regardless of that, regardless of whether De Gea plays, we've got to go and win tonight. I don't even know what T-shirt I'm going to wear, but we've got to win tonight, and I think we will. It's not worth thinking about messing this up, and I think that's what the players, it will be in the players' heads. In a way that's a good thing, and in a way it's a bad thing, because it will weigh heavy on them and it might not let them play freely. But then if they do win with that pressure, they'll understand to live with that pressure, because you need to live with that pressure at Manchester United. You're going to go away to Leeds next season, and Leeds will probably be in the bottom half of the table, but when they play United at Elland Road, that's going to be massive. So United have got to learn to live with this pressure. Would you take Chris Smalling back as a rotational squad player for next season, says Sam. At this moment in time, Sam, I would take Chris Smalling back, because we're so short at the back. But is that the future for Smalling, and is that the future for United? No, it shouldn't be. So we'd be better going into the transfer market. Sheikh says, I just can't understand how people are still talking about Moyes. I've never been this excited to wait for the next season to start since Sir Alex Ferguson. Ollie's bringing us back. No manager did this. Glory, glory, Manchester United from India. Thanks, pal. Ellis Baythorpe says we should sign Declan Rice. I mean, Declan Rice will be very hard to sign this summer because West Ham have stayed up. CB says we need Brentford to go up so I can see United play live there. Never seen United play live, and hopefully I'll be able to now. Great work, Mark. Thanks, says CB. They blew it at the weekend, Brentford, a little bit, didn't they? I think they've been the form team of the last few weeks, and they seem to have blown it a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But they would be the favourites in the playoffs. Ayaboin says our final bid for Sancho will be 105 million, take it or leave it. Well, there's talk this morning of an £80 million take it or leave it for Jadon Sancho. I think what will happen with Sancho is what I've always said. We won't pay any more than 89 million. We won't pay more than 89 million. That won't happen. I think it's going to be 85. Maybe it'll drop to 80, but it'll be 85 plus add-ons. That's what it'll be. We won't do 100 million. Not in this market. We won't do it. We'll sit down with Dortmund and we'll say, look, you're paying a lot of money for Bellingham. You're paying him 55 grand a week. You've bought Erling Haaland. You're paying him. You've had to do that. You've not sold anybody. Hakimi was on loan. He's gone to Inter Milan. Where's your income money coming from? You've lost money because of coronavirus. We all have. If coronavirus hadn't happened, I'd be sat here with writing you a cheque for 100,000. In fact, I sound like Chris Tarrant. I'm writing you a cheque for £100 million, but I don't want to give you that. We probably would have given them 100 million if coronavirus hadn't happened and everybody's revenue streams had continued as they were looking like they were going to go. But United will sit down with Dortmund and they'll say, look, we'd love to give you 100 million, but we can't. There's many reasons we can't do that. But this player wants to go. You need the money. So, how's about this? We will give you 80 million or 85 million. We'll give you that, and we'll put add-ons in there for another 20. And they will be based on you'll get that over the next 2 years if he does this, 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 and this. And I think that's what will happen. And I think Dortmund would be really silly not to do that, because most transfers are not paid up front anyway. So I think that's what will happen. And I'll be stunned if Manchester United don't do that. And actually, if United don't do that, then we're at fault. We've got to do a deal. We've got to do a deal. And so I think Dortmund have got to do a deal as well. But they probably want to keep him at the club, don't they? They probably do. Telling you Edward would masterclass signing Sancho for 60 million, says Abbas. Oh, look, if he manages to do that, I'll be stunned. But of course, what we've also got to be careful of here is that when this deal gets done, and please smash a like on the video if you're watching live, by the way, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. We're getting very close to 760,000, so subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. But what we also need to be very careful of, it's August the 22nd today. So it's not. It's July the 22nd today. And at the weekend, it's going to be, very close to the end of August. Well, if that 10th of August deadline is there for Dortmund, that gives United 2 weeks to negotiate. Well, we know Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Bruno Fernandes, all very recent transfers, have taken numerous weeks to do. That's what United do. We need to have a little bit of speed on this. I mean, Jadon Sancho at the moment's on holiday, so he's irrelevant until we deal with Dortmund anyway. Dortmund are open for dealing, but Manchester United can't do that until probably next Monday at the earliest. So we're going to have to move a little bit quick. We'll have to move a bit quick, to be honest with you. What I want to say is please do check out the Christian Falk interview. It's on the United Stand homepage. It might be on your suggested videos. Do give it a watch if you didn't see it yesterday. Fantastic interview. What a nice man as well, and very passionate about transfers, and been very right about transfers for many months now. I've been keeping an eye on trying to get him on the show for a while, and he definitely jumped those hurdles of credibility that which is what you want. We talk a lot about transfers on here, and a lot of them will say maybe they're not very good. They're good, and I think with Christian Falk, he's really come to my mind over the last sort of 8 months. I remember, like I said, middle of December, they said that Dortmund were winning the race for Haaland, and I was like, no, they're not. Bellingham in March, no, they're not. And they've been right. They've been right, absolutely right. So give it a watch on the homepage. I'll be back with you later on today for the watch along. What a huge game it is! I hope I've tried to take your mind off a little bit about the game, because that's exactly what the purpose of this video this morning was for me. I'm trying to not think of the game too much, because I'm just going to get nervous throughout the day. So, but we will be live at 5 o'clock with the watch along, and I look forward to joining you with that. So smash a like, subscribe if you're new. Thanks to the moderators. Thanks for everyone who's watching live and not live. Get your comments in, and yeah, make sure you watch out the Christian Falk interview. Very, very good. Speak to you in a bit.